Hello everyone, my name's Stonesy Boy. Confused? It's the start of the episode and the intro hasn't played. Well, this is because the recording that's about to play is, well, one of another book I was going to read, but decided against it because it's against kind of what we read on the channel. But there's a song in it that I did sing that is pretty good. So, please enjoy. Beast of England, beast of Ireland, beast of every land and clime, hearken well and spread my tidings of a golden future time. Beast of England, beast of Ireland, beast of every land and clime, hearken to my joyful tidings of the golden future time. Soon or late the day is coming, tyrant man shall be overthrown, and the fruitful fields of England shall be trod by beast alone. Rings shall vanish from our noses, and the harness from our back. Bit and spur shall rust forever, cruel whips no more shall crack. Riches more than mine can picture, wheat and barley, oats and hay, clover, beans, and mangrel wurzel shall be ours upon that day. Bright will shine the fields of England, pearl shall its waters be, sweeter yet shall blow its breezes on the day that sets us free. For that day we all must labor through, we die before it break. Cows and horses, geese and turkeys, all must toil for freedom's sake. Beast of England, beast of Ireland, beast of every land and clime, hearken well and spread my tidings of the golden future time. Hello everyone, my name's Stonesy Boy for the 500th time, and welcome back to Five Nights at Freddy's, the Reedy. No, welcome back to Reading with Stonesy. Place where I read books and you watch me read books, because, wasn't that a beautiful song? Yeah, I literally recorded that like 20 minutes ago until I realized, there's a lot of political stuff in that, so I just didn't see it fit for kids, because that's what this place really is Reading with Stonesy. It's just, it's for kids. This is the kids section. And I know it kind of messed up. Why do you do books then? Well, it's just because, books. Books are easy to do. And, yeah. It's also to teach lessons and junk, so, kids part of my channel. Kids part of YouTube. YouTube Kids, because that's never gone wrong. Anyways. Ow. Let me just get comfortable here. Today, instead of reading Five Nights at Freddy's Fazbear Fright number 6, we are actually reading one of the newer books, Five Nights at Freddy's Tales from the Pizza Plex, number 1, Lallys Game. This book I've never touched, seen, or read before, so this will be very interesting to learn for both of us. It is 232 pages, which, if you do the mathematics right, is about 12 episodes. Not bad. Not bad at all. We should have this done by November. So that's nice. Today I'm going to read pages 1 through 20. You guys know the drill by now. And yeah. Never read this before. And this is made by the beautiful Scott Cawthon, the quite frankly amazing Kelly Parra, and the also quite amazing Andrea Wagner. which makes some of my favorite books in this series. Of course, I'm a book connoisseur now, because, I read books. If purchased this book without a cover, you should be aware this book is stolen property. Okay. I'll make sure to remind myself that later. This chapter is only 70 pages, so, 3 episodes and this will be done. Whoa, the text is really small. Or is it bigger? Is it smaller or bigger? It's playing tricks on my head. Anyways, let me get my sip of water, which will be edited out by time, or maybe I'll just keep talking, and it won't be edited out, and let's begin. The night was cold. Raindrops scattered across the road like tiny pellets. The flash of red and blue emergency lights reflected off the wet pavement as the wreckage of a crashed sedan right against a broken tree. "Come on, kid, stay with me, Jack, the EMT, whispered. Drops of rain rolled off his face while he pumped his hands against the kid's ribcage. "Clear," his partner Dave yelled. Jack raised his arms as Dave charged an electric current into the boy's heart. The boy's body jerked on a wet gravel road. Jack started pumping the kid's chest again. "Come on, kid. Come back to us." Still no pulse. "Jack, it's been too long. We gotta call it." "One more. Come on, kid." Again they tried to revive the boy, but to no avail. "Dang it," Jack sat back, wiped the rain and sweat off his nose and wrist. "Call it." After a moment of regret, Jack covered the kid with a tarp. He stood up and gave himself a minute. It was always painful to lose someone so young. He heard a rock skitter across the ground. Jack swiveled ahead toward the black brush from behind a tree. Someone there? Maybe an animal. He couldn't see anything through the certain curtain of rain. He rolled his shoulders, picked up the metal bag, and turned away. "Let's pack up and get to the coroner here." "Kid didn't make it," Officer Manners asked him his way into the ambulance. Jack shook his head. "Not this time." "Too bad. This road is dangerous, let alone during a storm like this." "I don't know if it calls, but I have been here in the past." Jack trod off of placed the bag into the van. Officer Manner nudged his flashlight toward the dark. "And right here, near a cemetery of all places? Bad vibes, I think." "Just a coincidence," Jack said. A sudden movement caught his eye. Jack squinted against the rain and shifted attention toward the body. There was a dark form in the rain. Was someone leaning over the corpse? For a split second, the hairs on his back of his neck raised. Then he looked the feeling off. He blinked and made sure his eyes weren't playing tricks on him. There was someone. Short, slim, frail. The form hovered over the dead boy's body, doing some kind of motion with its hand, back and forth. Then he saw it. A knife? Jack stepped forward. "Hey, get away from him!" The dark form jumped up, a long wet hair covering its face. Light glistening off the weapon, and something swinging from the figure's hand. When the little dangling thing ran away, back into the darkness of the brush. "Jack, what happened, Jack?" Officer Manner asked, scanning the darkness. Jack pointed toward the dark brush. "I saw someone leaning over the body. It was another kid, I think. Maybe a girl?" Officer Manner walked around, shifting his flashlight around the scene. He came back with a slight twist on his lips. "You sure about that, Jack? A young kid walking around in this? So long as your shift been?" Jack shrugged his shoulder. "Going on 24. Yeah, I need some sleep." "Maybe I should have mentioned the cemetery. Got you thinking of spooks in the night. I was only kidding around, you know." Jack went back to the kid's body and picked up the last medical bag. Maybe he was just imagining things. The tarp moved. Jack jumped. "Hey, holy heck, Dave, we got a live one." "What?" "The kid, he moved. Get the gurney." "You sure?" "Just get over here." Jack tore the tarp from the boy. He saw the kid's face smeared with blood. Watched as the kid coughed, sucked in air. The kid moaned. "Help." Jack wiped in the portable oxygen and slipped the air mask over the boy's mouth. "It's okay, kid. Breathe. We got you. Nice and easy. You've been in an accident. We're taking you to the hospital, and they're going to take good care of you. Do you remember the accident?" The boy gave a slight nod. "Driving a little too fast in the rain. Wrapped around a tree pretty good. Hang in there, kid. You've just been gifted a miracle." Jessica pushed the wet mop across the wobble floor. To and fro, to and fro. She just remembered that saying from where before. She just didn't remember from where. Something from the past. The shudder ran through her as her hands trembled on a stick on the mop. She tightened her grip as if it would stop. She felt the hospital staff walk by her. She felt them look at her. She tilted her head forward so her thick black hair encurtained her face as much as possible. Not to be seen, not to be noticed. No one said anything to her more than necessary. She did not speak to them unless spoken to. She performed her job each day after school and mopped the floors of the children's medical wing. She grew accustomed to the scent of sanitizing cleaner and the dismal odor of the sick. She listened to the murmurs of the staff. She paid attention to the beeps of the medical machines hooked up to sick children. She studied the various footsteps she heard on the hard-tiled floors. Sometimes soft steps, sometimes clicks of heels or stomps of bigger people. Sometimes the steps were rushed, sometimes they were slow. She was aware of each and every child in the hospital wing. She often heard crying and whispers of the conversation as she leaned the floors. The doctor says you're doing very well, Brian. You're eating better. Treatment's going well, and that's wonderful, son. Woman spoke in the patient's room, and Jessica was near. Yeah, I guess so, Brian murmured. Hang in there, sport. You'll be better before you know it, a man said. And then you'll get to come home and rest in your own bed. I have been feeling a little bit hungrier. That's so good to hear, the woman said. Then I'll get you to go home. I hope soon, son, the man said. When you do, we'll get your favorite pizza from Freddy's Mega Pizza Plex. We'll make it a celebration. How does that sound? Pretty good, actually, the boy said. The man laughed. That's my boy. Bree, spoke a woman. What are all these strange flakes on your chest, huh? Look, Harry, what are these? Oh gosh, what kind of hospital did we bring them to? I don't know. They look like little bits of silver, the man said. Relax, Jane. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. They've been taking good care of him here. You even said so yourself. He even looks better today. I know, but the woman called out from the room. Nurse Macy, please can someone come to my son's room? Yes, Miss Ratman. Is Brian okay? Nurse Macy asked. Yes, but it's got the strange stuff on my son. I don't want anything on him that's going to make him sicker. I don't know what that is. Nurse went in and checked on Brian's chest and brushed the strange flakes off him. I don't think it's anything serious, Mr. and Mrs. Ratman. I'll have the staff sweep it up and get some new blankets. Please, I don't want any cleaner or anything on him. That is going to harm his recovery. Yes, Miss Rammon. Don't worry. We should never let that happen. Jessica pushed the mop slowly across the hallway. To and fro, to and fro. She's so strange, that one, nursing assistant murmured to Nurse Macy as they were stocking supplies on the medical cart. Jessica, you mean? Quiet. Keeps herself. Never makes any trouble, Nurse Macy shrugged. Nothing wrong with that. Well, she's so frail. Look at her. Like a feather would knock her over. Hair always covering her pretty face, she stuttered. Creeps me out in the way she looks around. It's not normal. She's obviously alive, and yet she's not really living. Nurse Macy shook her head. You've been watching too many horror movies, Colin. How do you think people come up with these scary movie ideas? They see things that freak them out and write about them. I'm sure you were at awkward stage at 14. We're not talking about me. Besides, I talk to people. I tried asking her something the other day, and then she just looked at me and blinked like I spoke like an alien language or something. Nurse Macy sighed. Oh, Colin. Clang. Just then something dropped from behind them, making them jump. Colin, childish eek. Nurse Macy checks down and sees a rusted tin can lying on the hospital floor. She frowned. That's odd. Where did that come from? She murmured. She glanced left and right and spotted Jessica mopping not so far from them. Oh, Jessica, would you mind picking up this can and throwing it away? I don't know where it came from. Must have dropped out of the kitchen cart or something. I'll have to tell them to be more careful with their garbage. Jessica gave a silent nod and dragged the mop, picked up the can and threw it in the nearby trash can. Thank you. Oh, and Jessica? Jessica slowly lifted her head, her hair parting to reveal her delicate features. Her eyes were dark. Didn't they used to be brighter brown? Wondered Nurse Macy. One small beauty mark was dotted high on her left lovely cheek, but her skin seemed to have lost some of its rosy flush it once had. Her lips were delicate and full. Her face was slim and so pretty she could be featured in magazines. You're doing a good job for us, Nurse Macy gave her a small smile. Jessica smiled, and it seemed to brighten her disappointed features. I'm glad, Jessica spoke quietly, but the glad didn't reach her eyes. I bet you're a big help at home with your family. Do you need help cleaning around the house with your mom and dad? Nurse Macy watched Jessica merely nod and turned away to continue mopping down the hall. I'm telling you. Creepy, Colin said under his breath. Nurse May just waved her hand at him. Oh, hush. She's just a young girl, and you're a grown man. I think you can take her if she attacks you. Colin shuddered. Don't be so sure. Even though Nurse Macy joked with Colin, she could admit it to herself that I explain why that peering into Jessica's dark gaze merely broke her heart. On her break, Jessica walked to the hospital chapel, and the room was empty of grieving family members. She liked it that way, to have a chapel all to herself. It was rare, but it was also peaceful and quiet. It allowed her to pray. She ran her hand softly in the wooden pews that lined the walkway to the altar, chose the first seat. In the front of the room was a large wooden cross hanging on the wall. She smelled the fresh white flowers and set it out for a display for both sides of the room. There were 3 rows of small candles waiting to be lit. Quiet instrumental music played through a wall speaker. She played the thick silver chain that hung around her neck from beneath her shirt, lifted it over her head, placing the pendant in her palm. The pendant once had been a whole heart, much larger and thicker. Now it was slightly brighter with a crescent moon, about the width of her thumb, though rough scratches embedded on one side. Nearly finished, she clasped her hands around the pendant and closed her eyes. Please help me do good and continue my purpose. Please help me make a difference. Please help me help others who are sick. Give me the strength to right my wrongs. Give me the courage to do what's right. Thank you. Hello, miss. Are you doing okay? Jessica blinked and stopped praying. She hadn't heard anyone enter the chapel. She looked over to see the priest standing beside the pew. He wore a black suit with a white collar. His hair was dark with streaks of gray, and his eyebrows were thick over kind bright brown eyes. There were tiny lines beside these eyes, and he smiled. I'm fine, she responded quietly. My name is Father Jeremiah. I've been seeing you here before. What's your name, miss? Jessica. Jessica sat down, or gazed down, and rubbed her thumb across the pendant. Is there anything I can help you with, Jessica? Jessica shook her head. No, thank you. Father Jeremiah took a pew across from hers. You look pale, Jessica. Are you feeling okay? Is there something I can get for you? A snack? Some water? Should you be resting? I feel fine, I think. I probably look better than when I'm working. Working? Here at the hospital. In the children's wing, I help clean the floors. To and fro, to and fro. Just makes you say I'm doing a good job, she added. She hoped that she was doing a good job. This job had meant a perfect opportunity to get closer to those who needed her help. It was rare for her to come across others who were sick in the outside world. She heard of the car accident last night by chance, the miracle some might call it. She heard the terrible screech of tires, the harsh crash of a car against a tree. It had taken her some time to get there, though, the heavy rain. She had watched the ambulance come with the EMTs to try to save the boy. Then they hadn't been able to save him, but she had. She was glad she was there to help. She'd cut it close, though she'd barely been caught. She could never allow this to happen. Ah, yes, I know Nurse Macy, a very caring nurse. The other Jeremiah nodded. I'm sure you're doing a good job. She cleared its throat. You know, Jessica, some people come here asking for help with their prayers, and I often listen to those who have burdens to release their healing to experience. Experiencing others' worries or problems help us to get through a lot of heavy in our minds and hearts. Jessica simply said, that's nice. She felt she was already letting go of something very important in her own way. She had never shared the thoughts with anyone because no one would be able to truly understand what she was going through. If you ever feel the need to talk to someone, I am here nearly every day to speak with. Should you choose, I am happy to help in any way I can. Jessica nodded, keeping her eyes downcast as she rubbed the pendant in her thumb. Well, it's what a lovely charm you have there. It must be very special to you. Jessica nearly continued to rub the thumb over the pendant and didn't speak anymore. After a moment, Father Jeremiah said softly, Peace be with you, Jessica, and left her alone. After a few more moments of prayer, Jessica slipped the chain back over her head and rose from a pew. As her usual routine, she went from one of those single hospital restrooms. She locked the door and walked in the small mirror above the sink. She inspected the dark circles under her eyes and the paleness of her delicate skin. Some might think she was lovely, but the truth was she looked frailer each day. Being lovely was once all she had ever wanted. She could feel the weakness take over her body and each child she helped, each scrape of the pendant. She wore the black sweatshirt and black pants and even black sneakers. Black wasn't the welcoming color. It kept people away from her. It helped her remember that she wasn't there to enjoy life, but she stayed focused on her purpose. From her pant pocket, she removed a compact powder. She opened the lid and patted a soft applicator in the powder, dotted her face with a concealer. It was pretty soft ivory and made her fresher look. After she put the compact away, she pinched her cheekbones to give herself a little color. Her eyelashes were naturally dark and thick, her lips full and pretty. When she used to smile, people would smile back at her and be interested in what she said. Jessica used to feel like certain things were important. But now, how she looked, the best clothes, the coolest friends, the cutest boys, but they actually weren't the important as she once thought. Now everything was different. She never smiled unless she had to. Jessica left the bathroom to return to work. The lights were dim for the evening and the staff had quieted down. She pulled a mop and the rolling pail from a cleaning closet. She heard a faint sound of cartoons playing nearby. Setting her mop aside, Jessica followed the sound from the new patient's room. A little boy with brown hair was curled up on the side, asleep, holding a green stuffed elephant. He was alone. Jessica turned the glance behind her and saw no one. Turning in her direction, she walked quietly into the room. She pulled her chain over her head, grasping the pendant. She slipped her knife out of her back pocket and opened the blade. If someone walked in, they'd think she was trying to hurt him. No, she would never dream about hurting anyone. She just wanted to help them the only way she could. She never told anyone about her purpose of helping those who were sick. Others wouldn't be able to understand. She hadn't understood either until it was received the shock of her life. She was no longer the girl she once had been. Beside the bed of the little boy, Jessica began scraping thoroughly at the pendant of their pocket knife. Little shavings of silver drifted down the boy as he slept. As she scraped, her chest seemed to tighten. Her pulse slowed and her breathing came shallow. These feelings in her body were how she knew she was helping the little boy heal. And she felt it was enough. She slid the chain back over her head and pendant once again under her shirt, closed the blade and the pocket knife away. The little boy blinked his eyes open. Blue eyes gazed at her with interest. "Are you an angel?" he whispered. "No," she whispered. "I'm no angel. Go back to sleep." "But I'm not sleepy." Jessica's lips twitched. "Your eyes look pretty sleepy to me. I think if you close your eyes and count sheep, soon you'll rest and you need yourself strong." She scratched up his nose. "Sheep? Why sheep?" "Okay, what would you like to count then?" "I think I want to count elephants. Like green elephants." "Okay, you can count elephants. Go ahead. Close your eyes and count." The little boy's eyes continued to say, 1 green elephant, 2 green elephant, 3. Soon he drifted back to sleep. Jessica turned and leave and nearly stumbled as his wave of weakness washed over her. Something skidded across the floor. She held on the door frame and balanced herself, and the faint feeling went away. She licked her dry lips and spied a rusted spring just by the doorway. Her eyes widened. She nearly snatched up and spring walked out of the room. She finished her work for the evening. Jessica sat alone on a lab table in the science and engineering class at West Wilson High School. She preferred sitting alone, but as always seemed to happen naturally. No one dared to sit next to the weird girl who barely spoke, who already participated in her world. She felt tired and distant. Mrs. Wilbury had droning by about a new project. As she let herself, Jessica would drift off into another place in her mind, away from the present reality. She wasn't sure why she continued to go to school. Maybe it was to keep up the pretense. Her old life was now far behind her. There was really nothing here for her other than she didn't want to make things difficult by drawing attention to herself by missing school or even getting bad grades. She really could do it without many scents of perfume, body odor, and junk food that surrounded her every day. The boring lectures, the teenage gossip, the stares from teachers and students. Not to mention the overall loudness of school, pounding feet, yelling voices, slamming lockers, music playing, cursing, crying, and laughing. There's so much noise. So many constant reminders of kids her age who were normal, her friends, teenage problems, and families at home who loved them, even if they always reminded her to be grateful for them. Jessica had a home once. She had a family. She had everything, and one day she gave it all up, making a wrong choice. If there was one thing Jessica had learned in her life, it was that some choices would be reserved, and the only thing to do is move forward as the best she could. "Look, it's the creepy girl," a student whispered behind her. Someone giggled. "She barely speaks. What's the matter with her?" Another girl wanted to know. "She's like a mannequin who barely moves. Mark Johnson says she creeps around the graveyard." "Oh my gosh, like a freaking zombie? Who would have thought West Wilson High would have its very own Walking Dead?" Jessica didn't say a word. She heard it all before. Zombie girl, mannequin, dark witch, the walking undead. Although she did her best not to draw attention to herself, she so did. Not like some kind of attention she used to receive. She'd become a target of mean gossip, teasing, and sometimes pranks. Overall, she was a loner, a girl who was often avoided as she walked the school hallways or sat at the cafeteria at lunch, which suited her just fine. The more she avoided, the easier it was to check out the present high school reality. There was a few more whispers from the school before something small hit the back of her head and dropped to the floor. More laughs erupted, even some laughs from the surrounding students. Jessica smoothed her hair down in her hand, unbothered. "Girls," Mrs. Wilbury scolded. "Is there a problem?" Mrs. Wilbury was on the younger side of the teacher. She wore dark-trimmed glasses and often sported a black ponytail. She was one of the teachers who spoke with her hands as eager for class participation. She seemed to leave Jessica alone, though. One of the girls cleared her throat. "No problem, Mrs. Wilbury. I would hope not. I think you girls would rather be out with your friends at lunch and keep helping me clean up the science lab today." "No, we're good, Mrs. Wilbury." Thank you for being so kind. Now I may continue without rudely interrupted? Yes, Mr. Wilby. The girls answered together at the lap table to her. A boy picked up the user race and bounced it off Jessica's head. She tossed it back to the girls. Real mature, he muttered. What's the problem? The girl whispered, annoyed. He's new. He doesn't know the reality of Zombie Girl. Jessica glanced up at the boy and then looked away. He was indeed new to the school. Okay, class, choose your partners, Barry announced. With a clap of your hands, make sure to choose someone who you know you can get a work accomplished with instead of someone you can goof around with until the last minute. This will be 50% of your quarter grade, so make it good. Jessica blinked. Choose your partners. What had she missed? The new boy stood and came to her table. Hi, she said. You want to be partners from the project? Jessica swallowed hard. She supposed she had to. It wasn't like she was getting another offer. She nodded. She sat next to the empty chair. I'm Robert. Jessica. This project is going to be kind of cool, huh? Jessica slowly nodded, unsure of what it was about. She'd been paying attention. Robert was an athletic build with a honey hair, hazel eyes, and golden skin. He wore a pale blue-colored T-shirt and faded jeans. His braided leather jacket with his right wrist. He was the kind of boy for whom she would have wanted attention in her old life. Now she wished she was invisible. I transferred from out of town, he continued. My dad is an engineer and got a new job here. He was excited about this class for me. Robert brushed his hair back with his hand. Are you excited? Jessica flinched. What was she doing? Was she supposed to keep to herself? Yeah, it's fun, building stuff, but it will be the first time in class like this. Jessica nodded. She used to think building stuff was fun, too. Those girls were acting dumb, he said quietly with a shrug of shoulders. There were girls like that in my other school. Never hung out with them. Just mean to everyone for no reason. They think they're cool, I guess. When it's not. It doesn't bother me. He lifted his eyebrows. Really? That's cool. Most people wouldn't say that. Then he smiled. I can't believe we get to build our own mini robot. Jessica stared off in the distance. Oh, perfect. After school, Jessica was seated at the table of the school courtyard, waiting for Robert. They had had a couple of class sessions and planned a bot project and decided to make a mini rolling bot that carried items on its back. It was controlled with a remote. The catch was that they didn't have to have the tray lifted up and down. Robert had taken apart an old remote control car and discovered the components to make their robot active. Robert dropped the cardboard box into the table, causing Jessica to recoil. He pulled out an old remote control car. I asked Miss Roddenberry how much he can use from this bot. She gave me a list of what we can and can't use, Robert said, handing out Jessica's paper. Today, she wore a pale yellow shirt that buttoned down in front and gray sweatpants. Jessica wore a typical all-black outfit. Jessica looked at the list and handed her. We need to find other components for the ones who have to replace. Yeah, I know. What are you doing later? Mrs. Willenberry wants us to salvage as many components and we can, instead of purchasing them, maybe we can go to the junkyard and see what we can find. Jessica quickly blinked a few times. I know we had a couple of springs, something used as a tray. Maybe old wiring? I can't, she stumbled out. Huh? Robert looked at her with a distant, slight frown. I can't go there. I have to go to the hospital to work. I forgot. Robert shrugged. Oh, well, we can go another day. We have time. No, Jessica said a little too sternly. She could feel her insides begin to shake. She started to pack her notebook in her bag. I have to go. Robert stared at her with a surprise. Now I thought we were going to work on the project. Maybe we made a schedule. We should keep it if we want to finish on time. Can't today. Tomorrow. You go to the junkyard. Okay? It's not my thing. Alright, it's for the project, but it's not like I had to hang out at the junkyards either. Are you okay? He grabbed Jessica's wrist, and Jessica pulled away as stung. Are you sick or something? You look a little pale. I don't feel well. You don't want me to walk you home? It's not a problem. I can come with you. Maybe you shouldn't be by yourself. No, I don't need help, okay? I'll see you tomorrow. She grabbed her bag and quickly rushed from the table. She felt faint, as if she could kneel over at any second. She managed to make it to the school grounds and leaned against a tree for support. She grabbed her pen with a shaky hand and closed her eyes. Their breath filtered out of the mouth quickly. Everything is going to be okay. Whoops. Accidentally read one more page than need be. Whatever. Sometimes you just do that. Or at least I do that. Well, that means next time we're going to be reading... Wanna wake up, Mouse? Thank you. Means next time we're going to be reading 22 to 40. There we go. Much better. So yeah, Anyways, I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Sorry. That was a good read. I'm trying to figure out the story right now. I really am. So she doesn't like the junkyard. Yeah, I don't like talking about lore, but more like talking about lessons, but this one's kind of a curious one. So she uses shavings, always uses a can that's covered in rust. She's like an angel. So is she like a robot, maybe? She's like a robot who traded their soul with like a robot from, I don't know, Pizza Plex or a junkyard or whatever, and then maybe it's like, oh, now I'm beautiful. But, now I have to repent for my sins or something. I don't know. Anyways, hope you guys have a fantastic, wonderful day. Be polite, be efficient. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.